I'm a Canadian sex worker, and one of my closest friends is a devout Catholic. Let's talk about that. A lot of people get surprised when I tell them that because they're like, isn't that like against all the Catholic values? Actually, no, because if you look at the teachings of Jesus, he literally says to love your neighbor. If you look at what Jesus did, he hung out with prostitutes, he had dinner with them. Like, doesn't that tell you something? It's kind of funny because a lot of people will call themselves Christians, have Bible verses in their bio, and then go in my comment section and say, whore, skank, you're a horrible person, you're going to hell. Jesus never said any of those things to prostitutes, ever. Like, if you read the Bible, he, again, has dinner with them. The Pharisees actually got mad at Jesus for having dinner with prostitutes. And Jesus was like, even to like the adulterous woman, he's like, let him who is without sin cast the first stone. That's the attitude that Jesus had. And she lives by the teachings of Jesus. And again, I'm not religious at all, but like I can get behind a lot of what Jesus says. I actually love Jesus. Like Jesus is a super cool guy. He has a lot of good stuff to say. And I feel like if a lot of more people actually followed the teachings of Jesus, the world would be a better place. But so many people call themselves Christians and don't actually follow the teachings of Jesus, which is love your neighbor. Like that's like he said himself that the biggest two commandments were love your neighbor and love God. Obviously, like I don't believe in God, but I think loving your neighbor is super important, even if you don't agree with them. And obviously, my friend was a little bit disappointed when I told her what I'm doing for work. But at the end of the day, you know, Jesus calls people to love people, you know, and she's like, you're no different. And obviously, I don't agree with your lifestyle, but you're still my friend. You still treat me right. And, you know, Jesus calls us to love everybody, including sex workers. So that's why we're still friends. And I love this girl with all my heart. So if you're watching this girl, I love you. Mwah.